Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So, I wanted to talk about something here that a lot of people were sort of, I guess, getting into after Daryl Dixon's premiere, and that is comparing Daryl Dixon and Dead City together. And it's funny to do this just because obviously, first of all, I don't really want to be doing this. I don't like comparing both shows, but it was something that was immediately happening online. And I just thought it was kind of interesting because after you watch Daryl Dixon, there is like this interesting, I guess, critique that I have for Dead City. And that is that the story doesn't overall really seem to matter overall to the Walking Dead universe. I know I said overall there a lot, but it really doesn't seem to matter that much. Maybe eventually it will. It was its first season, but when you're looking at Daryl Dixon, and again, this will contain spoilers for Daryl Dixon, the episode 1, it just seems like the story there, in terms of the variant walkers, those ships going in and out of France and then going to America or whatever, like, there is something there that is CRM related, for sure. There's no way you have all these ships going from America to France back and forth, and the CRM have nothing to do with it. Like, there's no way. They're also doing experiments. There's these variant walkers. The ship just left America, went to France, and there was variant walkers on that ship. Like, the CRM knows about it. There's literally the post-credit scene was at the end of The World Beyond, which was a show about the Civic Republic. So it is all connected for sure. It's just, that's my point. You know, a lot of storylines like this, you would figure Rick and Michonne would get that, but no, Daryl Dixon's getting that. So Rick and Michonne are going to be getting stuff like this. That's exciting. Daryl Dixon is getting stuff like this. That's exciting. Maggie and Negan aren't right now. And so that's kind of what I wanted to get into here. I wanted to talk about this because this is going to be really interesting going into season 2, right? And fans are going to start to talk about this because I've already seen fans talk about this. Like, Daryl Dixon is exciting. A season 2, oh yeah, I'm going to watch that totally. Dead City season 2, yes, I liked season 1, but are we going to get storylines like that? Again, that's going to be an issue in terms of promoting it. Like, people are going to be hyped for a season 2, but once you get the trailer for that season, it might not be that exciting if the story isn't, you know, the same type of, I guess, I don't even know what the word would be, but it would just have to matter as much, right? So before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. I also will be streaming on Twitch a lot as well. I will be streaming the new Walking Dead game called The Walking Dead Betrayal. I've actually had a lot of fun with it, so this week I'll be streaming a lot because the game's actually free on Steam, I believe. It's like an early access thing, so I'm having a lot of fun with that right now. If you want to watch me play Walking Dead games or other games, then definitely go follow my Twitch. The channel name is Appetite for the Dead, and yeah, I'll see you guys there in my next stream. But let's talk about this here. So the first thing that I do actually want to start off with is, I guess, a poll that I did. So I posted this on the Sunday, so this was after people watched the Daryl Dixon premiere. So this was after episode 1, people watched the first episode, and yeah, this was sort of their response to it. It's a very, very fresh reaction, so I said, which had the better premiere? Hashtag The Walking Dead, hashtag Daryl Dixon, hashtag Dead City. And so I had those two options there, and 441 votes were made. Dead City obviously lost with 22.4%. Daryl Dixon won with 77.6%. And I wasn't expecting this much of a gap between both shows. I wasn't. I was kind of expecting, honestly, like 60-40, I think would probably make a lot more sense. Because that's kind of how I feel about it. Just in terms of the quality, the storytelling and all that. When I do think of the overall story in terms of how does Daryl Dixon actually contribute to like the Rick Grimes story, the overall Walking Dead universe story, it does greatly. Dead City doesn't really. So then that's where I can kind of understand this right here, right? And it's kind of crazy. It is really crazy. And that is one of those things where I think if you're Dead City, you do need to fix, because season 1, again, I'm not complaining about season 1. I really liked season 1 of Dead City. Honestly, very phenomenal season. I would rate it 8, 9, or 9.5 out of 10, around there. Really, really great season. Well, actually, looking back at it now, I don't know what my original rating was, but I would rate it like a 9 out of 10, easily. I think a 9 out of 10 makes a lot of sense for Dead City. I think that show was pretty phenomenal for what it was. It introduced an entirely different world, and we were just sort of exposed to something new there. And with those two characters, they took that story and went into some interesting things with the story, right? And I think that's kind of the overall thing as well. Is Daryl Dixon almost proves to us that he is kind of a part of the Grimes family story as well, because Daryl's having all these flashback scenes and it's of Judith. You know, Judith is Rick's daughter. There's Carol as well. Like, he's having these flashback scenes of like the main story. Daryl is also, you know, the entire time he was searching for Rick. So Daryl is very, very involved in everything Rick Grimes. Like, he's so involved in the Grimes legacy, in the Grimes story, that it's just like, it's, you know, when you're watching him, and especially when you watch this show, the first episode proved that I think he could actually lead the Walking Dead universe. Like, he could actually, like, if Rick was gone, Daryl's a really great leader. And I think he is the only leader. There is no one else. I know there will be an argument made for Negan. I don't think Negan could make it work as much as Daryl. Daryl just, there's something about him, like episode 1 just really proved that to me. And so I think Dead City, I think they just need to change some stuff up, because season 1, again, really liked the season. There was some really cool stuff with the Croat. There was some really interesting things that they were doing with walkers in terms of like fuel and all that. But it kind of felt like your typical Walking Dead story. There were things that were changed, obviously, but it was a very, very simple story. The story overall was very much just they went to New York City. The people they dealt with as well weren't that, I guess, I don't want to say like interesting, because like they were obviously very interesting. That's not the right word. I guess important is the better word. They weren't that important overall. And when you're looking at Daryl Dixon, like the characters are already important, right? And so I think for Dead City, they just got to change it up. Like, I mean, we do have the Marshal, a really great character. There are some other characters that they did introduce that are going to become fan favorites, obviously. And there are multiple locations. Like, there is this whole entire thing. But I think for season 2, where they could fix a lot of this is, again, you don't want to just out of nowhere get into CRM stuff, because it almost looks like you're responding to the fans, right? Like, the fans start to acclaim that there wasn't enough this or that in terms of the Rick stuff and all of that. And all of a sudden, in season 2, we get all that stuff. So don't do that. Definitely don't go and do that. But what you could do is maybe just slowly transition there. Maybe the CRM stuff is going to show up in season 3 or 4, right? But for now, just slowly get there. So season 2, maybe there's just random stuff that can get us talking in like the finale or episode 5 or whatever it is for season 2. But season 3 and 4 starts to get into that a little bit more, right? But maybe in season 2, it's just, you know, your typical Dead City season, but maybe you actually introduced Alicia, or maybe you introduced Dwight as well. You know, having those characters from Fear the Walking Dead on this show can do wonders. And I think that's where Dead City can succeed. Because I'm looking at all 3 shows right now. Rick and Michonne is going to succeed. No matter what, that show is going to be insane. Both of these shows, we're talking about those numbers. For Rick and Michonne, the numbers are going to be so much higher. So I'm not even, like, it's going to be really insane. Like, we'll definitely have to do a ratings number then, but it definitely doesn't even compare. The numbers are going to be insane for Rick and Michonne. And Daryl Dixon, obviously, like, we know the hype for that show right now. People are just loving this show so much. And it was honestly just super refreshing to see that. Like, it just kind of came out of nowhere. But again, you write a really good story like that, you're going to get those results. And Dead City, people did like it, but you got to remember the context of when people liked it. Dead City was the first spin-off to air after The Walking Dead ended. Fear the Walking Dead is ending, so just ignore that. Dead City was the first spin-off to air where it was like, this is the next era of The Walking Dead. And we saw what it looked like visually, cinematically, the whole New York thing. It was really, really good. The story was awesome. But now after watching Daryl Dixon, at least the first episode, you can kind of see the quality overall is very, very good. And so now, you know, you're going to have these shows really competing with each other. And that's probably going to be the era that we're going to be in with a lot of these shows, is that they will be competing with each other. Rick and Michonne, I feel like no matter what, is always going to win. But it depends, because their story could be really bad, right? Like, that's the thing. Daryl Dixon, people thought this show was probably going to be the worst show. Like, people thought overall, Daryl Dixon, no one's going to care because it's just Daryl in France. People weren't that interested in it. And look at what they did. It's literally like, it's the most exciting show. And there's still a part of me that believes that this show could even be more exciting than Rick and Michonne. But I'm not going to go there yet, because we still have yet to see a trailer for Rick and Michonne. And I want to see a lot more from that, right? We still have to watch the first episode and all that. But that's just how good, for me, Daryl Dixon has been so far. And a lot of it is the location. It is the change in atmosphere. It's just everything feels so different, fresh, and unique. It's exciting. It's such an exciting time to be a Walking Dead fan right now. Like, I'm so hyped for this. So for Dead City, if you want to, match with these shows, if you want to be, talked about with the likes of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon and The Walking Dead The Ones Who Live, you need to up it a little bit. And I think the ways you can do that is you bring Dwight back, and just have a whole entire arc there with Dwight and Negan. Maybe he, starts to cause stuff and he's causing problems for the Dama and the Croat and whatnot. Like, there's so much you can do there that would be so much fun. So there is a lot you're able to do there. Dwight is the perfect character. Alicia, people would love to see, but it just depends on how Fear the Walking Dead ends. I don't know if it ends the Clark family story and then that's it. We never see those characters again. We're just going to have to wait and see on that. But yeah, I think Dead City is going to have to do something like that, because otherwise, people overall aren't going to be that interested going into the next season, because it's, again, season 1, people loved it. When the trailer comes out, I'm going to really, really love it. But we're going to see the season 2 trailer for Dead City after having watched Daryl Dixon season 1. Fear the Walking Dead doesn't matter. And The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. So when we watch that trailer, it has to compete with both of those shows. I think for Dead City, at first, it wasn't competing with anything, really just The Walking Dead final season, which obviously it beat. Like, the rise in the quality of the Walking Dead universe has been pretty strong, I'd say, for a while. Like, The Walking Dead final season, it was great in some aspect, obviously, in terms of like quality and whatnot. The story had a lot of issues, but it built up to the final season, and then it ended, really exciting. And then Dead City was sort of our first reintroduction back to the universe. It looked very cinematic, very different. People were so excited. Daryl Dixon's taking that and then also adding a very, very crazy, exciting story, and then going into just like different places with it. And then we'll just have to see what Rick and Michonne does, right? So I just wanted to compare the two shows and talk about, what Dead City needs to do, because people are talking about it. And that's the thing too, though. Like, a lot of people I've been seeing in the comments just prefer Daryl Dixon over Dead City. Like, a lot of people feel that. Though I will say there has been a lot of people that definitely do prefer Dead City, and a lot of them do say that Daryl Dixon is just too much overall. So it is kind of interesting. And again, you're able to like both shows. I'm not saying that you have to pick either or. This is just sort of me comparing both shows as of just literally both episode 1s, like the premiere for both episodes or both seasons. So yeah, I would like to know your thoughts on the premiere and how you think both premieres compare, and how do you see Daryl Dixon as a show compared to how you view Dead City as a show? Like, is there a difference? Which one do you prefer? And yeah, like, definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.